welcome to our Thursday evening Inside Texas live show. Nash was here just a moment ago, I swear. He's a magic man. Michelle, how are you, friend?
Doing good, doing good. Really excited. It's officially football season, y'all.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Unfortunately.
but fortunately, you know what I
Yeah.
mean. It's certainly bittersweet. But yeah, everything else has kind of come to an end as far as the spring sports on the 40 acres. Obviously, softball did their thing. Baseball came to an end. Um, not long ago. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the show. We'll kind of get Nash to share a little bit of his own experience since he was in attendance. Hello, Mr. Bennett. Appreciate you being here as always, my man. But yeah, so we'll get into all of it. And again, I'm going to talk a little bit about the heat that Texas could be, perhaps they're feeling. We know from an outside media standpoint, a lot of people are going to put heat on Texas when there's Nash. Nash, how you doing, brother?
Doing good, brother. Doing good.
There you go. And again, glad to have Nash back in the great state of Texas, and glad to have all of you guys here with us at Inside Texas. Making sure you're going over to InsideTexas.com, though, and checking out the summer sale, 50% off that Ultimate Fan Bundle. Never a better time to join, because like Michelle just said, it is unfortunately, fortunately, football season. Plenty of recruiting stuff around the corner. Some good news perhaps tomorrow, hoping, fingers crossed, hoping for some good news, and a particular big time commitment out of a young man in North Crowley, Texas. But we'll get to all of it. We'll have some fun here. We appreciate you watching. Throw a like on the video if you don't mind. There you go. Official visits wrapping up. Summer workouts started. It is go time. Lot of stuff to check out over at InsideTexas.com. So Aggies flying on Texas, even though Aggies never. That's the thing, though, is like Aggies' biggest win of every season is always when somebody like eliminates Texas, whether it's a college football playoff or college world series. That's traditionally how it goes. My favorite thing yesterday was, during the Georgia game, the second one, fourth or fifth inning when Luke was just shoving. I made a comment. I was like, I know Luke had corn for breakfast, how they're in Nebraska. And one Aggie just posted like his stat line from the game when we played A&M back in April, 2 months ago. And I didn't say anything. I wanted to, but again, wanted to see if we won the game first, and then I might have kind of gone on a little bit there. So, but yeah, that's always the case. Again, talking season, as we've said, is almost over, and it wasn't long ago when they were the ones kind of like, "Oh, talking season is almost over. Y'all will win another 6 or 7 football games and go back to being quiet, living under a rock." Feeling pretty good about Texas football this year, guys. I feel like y'all are probably pretty similar, but there's a lot of pressure on Texas to win last year, I felt like, just because of the offseason hype around Arch Manning, around Steve Sarkisian. And, everybody obviously, hey, not everyone, a lot of people said, hey, they're the number one team in the country. They don't have any excuses, yada, yada. We went through the ringer. It is what it is. You lost 3 games. You lost a good competition outside of the Florida game. How much pressure is on this iteration of Texas football? How much better are they prepared to handle that pressure, maybe compared to a year ago? And I'm not even going to say it was a pressure that got to them. We messed up on some really basic, just football stuff. Whoever wants to talk about it first, feel free. But just the kind of pressure that you think this program is feeling, and maybe it's not even the program. Maybe it's just outside of the program, and maybe inside of the program, they're well built to handle it, and they're not letting it bother them at all.
So I'll go first, and I'm going to kind of break it down between pressure I feel like is on Sark, is on Arch, and then is on the team as a whole. So I think that Sark, the pressure is a 10, but I think it was also a 10 last year. And I think he's handling it a lot better this time around. He seems much more relaxed. And I mean, we've kind of seen in all of his media availability, he just seems much more confident in the team. So I think the stakes are just as high. It's like potentially your last year with Arch Manning, but he just seems to almost feel like he's removed the burden of there's so much pressure on me, and I'm just going to go for it because they're going to hate me anyway sort of mentality. And I feel similarly to Arch. I think he also is so much better equipped to handle all of the high stakes and high pressure put on him. There is nothing that can be said about him that has not already been said before from a positive or negative perspective. So he's really gotten to learn. We've spoken about it quite often on this show, even trial by fire, and he made it out of the flames alive. So I just feel like those two individuals are so much better equipped to handle the pressure being at a 10. Now, for the team as a whole, probably also a 10. Maybe I'm a little dramatic today. And I'm kind of TBD of how the rest of the team handles it. I do think that because of the veteran leadership we brought in, and it seems like some guys from the team last year are really stepping into leadership roles. Maybe they were a little bit too young, still maturing with who they are as men last year. Maybe they weren't ready for that role. It seems like maybe they're all a year older, more mature, ready to kind of be able to separate, like, this is what the media thinks of us, but this is who we think we are. We're not even focusing on that. We're just focusing on each day. So I can't put like a score on how I think the team is prepared to handle it. But I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic that they are better equipped for it.
And that's the thing again. You did get put through the ringer. You went into some tough and difficult environments. You lost in 3 really difficult places to play. And again, it felt like Texas was her own worst enemy in at least 2 of those games. For sure. Between Georgia and Ohio State. It feels like there's much better versions of Texas football than we got that day. From start to finish in both games. You could literally go to first play of scrimmage in both of those games and say, okay, there's a lot of times, we make those plays, little things. Again, it's a weird bounce. Michael Taft's momentum was against him. I'm not trying to pick on him for the play against Florida, but yeah, I agree with you. I think, you got to be a little bit better prepared. You got to find a way to limit the noise from the outside. Don't pay attention to it. You know what I mean? Don't get caught up in reading Twitter and Instagram and all the stuff that you hear. Don't get caught up in things, like that, like from people like us, like we're saying, just ignore all that. Focus on what you could control. Nash, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, it really does feel like the pressure is at an all-time high for Texas football. Just considering the portal class that we brought in, you got 2 really, really good running backs. You got a really good wide receiver in Cam Coleman coming in to start next to alongside Ryan Wingo and Emmett Mosley. I mean, it's just, I feel like this was a kind of whether people should think it or not, right? It is kind of almost like a natty or bust season. Now, I would disagree that anything should ever be considered natty or bust, because winning a national championship is just really, really hard. It is what it is. But I think one of the things that puts a lot of pressure on Steve Sarkisian is how close he was to 2 national championships back-to-back years. And right or wrong, that's added a lot more pressure to his his tenure at Texas. And I think Texas fans they're in a position where the last national championship we saw was in 2005, and we came so close in 2009. They're tired of getting close, right? So I think pressure might not even be the right word, right? I think just Texas fans are kind of I'm losing grasp of the right word, but there's a little bit annoyed, right? And it is I could understand that being at a school like Texas, but at the same time, it is kind of a little bit ridiculous. But that's the world we live in. We live in a ridiculous world with like ridiculous NIL numbers and all that stuff.
I mean, you make a good point, man. Like these are kids who've played in big time stadiums under big time crowds, big time moments. Like you walk into Texas OU, every single snap is pressure packed. And so I mean, like I like that perspective, that it's probably not pressure that they feel as much as like an annoyance or just a little bit of a nagging feeling like, hey, we've been close. We just haven't got across that finish line. One of my favorite Mac Brown quotes ever was 2004. OU had just curb stomped us from 2000 to 2003 and would end up winning this day in 2004. But before that 12-0 game, I think it was the first quarter, they're showing, interviews from the week, and they'd go and they talk to Stoops, of course. They talk to Mac Brown. Still, something that's done. But they asked him about the pressure that it felt to beat Oklahoma. Like, do you feel pressure? Do you feel pressure like that your job could be on the line? Do you feel pressure for your team? And Mac just like absolutely like blinded me. I was 15 at the time, like 14 at the time, but like just blinded me with this quote. He said, pressure is when someone that you know is hungry or someone that you love is sick. He was like, there's no pressure on going and winning this football game. And I was like, holy hell. And so I use that, maybe not my daily verbiage, but at least once a month, maybe to myself or somebody. But yeah, and again, that's the thing. Like Texas, when you're your own worst enemy, you find ways to just be yourself, right? To play to your standard, to play to who you are. And so yeah, again, just wanted to anytime I get an excuse to share that quote, I'm gonna bring it up because it was awesome. Real quick, artistically incredible. Thanks again for being back 2 nights in a row, my man. We're going to answer this question. If we're in charge of the college football playoff, would we want more teams, less teams, stay with 12, or what changes like no G5s getting in unless they really deserve it? Michelle, let's start with you. What would you want? While you talk, I'm going to pop the question down. We'll get it back up there in a second.
So I wouldn't mind staying at 12. I would only want to go to 16 because of all of the automatic bids and having them include the G5. We've talked very frequently how we would love the G5 to have their own little playoff. I think that is the solution. That would be awesome. So in a perfect world, I would keep it at 12. Maybe the conference champions get an auto bid, but no Notre Dame getting an auto bid and no G5. And then G5 has their own separate thing. But if we're keeping the G5 included, then I say go to 16. I don't like 24 though. That's too many teams.
That's a lot of teams. I mean, I'm not going to get into all that. I'll answer really quickly, and then I'll let Nash finish it off. I'm a big, not to parent Michelle, but I want the G5 playoff. I think that they're playing a completely different game. They've always been playing a different game, but now in the NIL and the transfer portal era, when those rosters are getting poached and picked apart, and some guys are able to hang on to those guys, and credit to them at the G5 level. But they're really having to pass the hat to do so. They're having to really, really go at and allocate all the resources that they can. But it's just tough. I would love for them to, instead of like the G5 champion, essentially, as far as from a ranking standpoint, gets to go into the playoffs and get thrown around a little bit by an Oregon or whoever it may be. This is not Boise State. This is not Boise State, Oklahoma. This is not TCU, even when they were in the Mountain West. This is a whole different era because now a lot of these guys that have a really, really good second, third year players at the G5 level, very rarely are they getting to see a fourth year or a fifth year because they're added to another roster. Maybe it's for depth. But hey, money talks, NIL offers are out there, and all these, again, you're going to have some parity, but it's more parity throughout more of the top schools, in my opinion. Some of these schools that might be down for a decade, they won't be as down for as long, or shouldn't be, if they can manage a roster even half decently whatsoever, because there's so many fish out there in the pond now, and you have the ability to go get them. So I would like to see G5 have their own playoff. I would not like to see automatic qualifiers in any perspective anyway, unless there's some type of like schedule mandating for all conferences. So it's like you're going to have super conference inevitably in the end, in my opinion. You'll have your Big 10, your SEC, Big 12, ACC if they survive, if they last. Make everybody play, like we talked about before, some tiers of scheduling. You play your conference games, but you have to play a tier of non-conference opponent, maybe one tier 1, one tier 2, one tier 3. And it has to be based off the way that team finished in the last year. So yeah, you wouldn't have your 10 years down the line, these big time matchups, but like, do we really have to do it 10 years down the line? Do we have to make them that far in advance? I don't think so. I think these schools at the drop of a hat would turn around and do the things necessary. As damn sure the TV networks would do whatever necessary to, you know what I mean? It's like same thing with professional sports. It's not like those matchups are already predetermined. But all right, Nash, what you got, man? You want 12 teams? You want 50 teams? No teams? What do you got?
I'm done bargaining with the committee. Okay, Michelle, all respect to what you said. I feel like we're at a point where we're like, okay, let's just go for 16 or something like that to slow it down. No. Let's back that thing up, Terry. Let's put this thing in reverse, right? We need to go down to 8 teams, 4 teams, something like that. This is getting to too many teams, and yeah, put a G5 playoff out there. It's just, I've said it before on the show. It's ridiculous that you can compete in the same league and not have a chance to win a national championship. There's not a single person in their right mind that thinks that Texas State can go out there and win a national championship. I don't care what type of season you think they're about to have, what players they have on their roster. No one in their right mind is thinking that. So it's just one of these deals where let these smaller teams like Appalachian State, let them go compete in a league where they actually have a chance. They're playing against teams that are operating on a similar budget to them. And then if you really, really want to get into the weeds, okay, well, maybe if they win, maybe add like a relegation aspect where if they win so many times inside that league that they get bumped up and you kick out whatever team's doing terribly in the Power Five.
Sorry, Arkansas.
I'm not going for that, right? But I'm just saying if you really want to get there, we can maybe have that conversation one day if they're just that dominant. But at the same time, just let them be like Alabama in the G5, right? Let them be like the Bama in the 2010s. Yeah, I just, so to sum it up, lesser teams in the current playoff, because I think it really does feel like we're headed towards a participation trophy world. I hate that stuff. I don't know if you've seen that, like I9 Sports or whatever, I5 Sports. Everybody gets the same trophy. Mm-hmm. That's dumb. We need to be keeping track of score.
Hey, shout out New Braunfels. Shout out New Braunfels under the light, baby. We got one trophy for one champion. That's all. That's all.
Add a baby. No. And the reality is you learn something from losing, right? You learn life lessons from losing games. You learn life lessons from winning games. So, I think that there is a lesson for some of these guys to learn if they're just right there on the cusp, like at Texas in 2025, where they just miss out on the playoffs. If we'd gotten put in the playoffs, then maybe they don't have the same reflection that they do looking back at the season and some of these little small moments like the Florida game that might have made the difference. And that could make the difference for this year. That could propel Texas to have an amazing year. We don't know. So it's one of these things that I think there's lessons to be learned from losing. And I honestly, I want to go down to less teams because it does need to be an elite thing. It needs to be a special thing to get invited into the college football playoff. It does not need to be hey, you finished in the top 25. Here you go. Here's your spot. There's your ticket.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you guys. We're going to keep going real quick. We're going to do our first ad break of the night. We're going to hear from Mr. David McClellan, one of tonight's sponsors. Thank you, Mr. David.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Keipelinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
All right, keeping it rolling here on Inside Texas. I'm going to pop up. And Nash, I like a lot of what you said there. There's a ton of things you can learn through losing. There's absolutely, trials and tribulations that have been a big part of some teams, success stories. And so I love to hear it all, man. Nash had a really good take on that. Hot take from Joe Z here. I like you being here, man. I haven't seen your name before, but hot take. Wingo has a better year than Coleman. Coleman more TDs, but Wingo more yards. Hey, Evan and I don't know if you watched Evan and I, we kind of try to do like a predicted stats or maybe like an over-under for guys. And we both agree with you, man. Like we both had Wingo having more yards than Coleman more touchdowns than Wingo. What do you two guys think?
Wingo's going to have his opportunities. I mean, he was, despite what people want to say about him from last season, he was really good and teams were scared of him. And so now imagine him having all the opportunities of not being guarded like he's wide receiver 1. I mean, he's gonna get his yards. That's definitely true, I think. So I would agree with that. And Josie and I, we've both been Wingo truthers for like 2 years now. So we're riding with him till the end, till the wheels fall off.
Love it. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense because Wingo is so electric with the ball in his hands, and he's so involved in the screen game. And if he can hold on to a few of these underneath throws, or Archie can hit him on a few of these underneath throws, he has just so much room. And with Cam Coleman, I feel like he'll get a lot of double teams, a lot of safety over the top help. Nash, what do you think?
I'm hesitant because, and first off, I love the profile picture right there.
It's awesome.
That's a solid picture right there. I'm hesitant because I saw Cam Coleman on such a limited route tree get open over the top so much, and I know a guy that like Arch Manning who can throw the deep ball like that's going to lead to some really, really big chunk plays. But at the same time, on the other hand, I could also see Cam Coleman opening up those bubble screens for Ryan Wingo a lot more, and those are some massive chunk plays. To be honest, I hate to hedge out here, but I'm going 50-50 on both those guys. Like I could see either one leading in touchdowns or yards. I think that both are going to have a tremendous season, but Cam Coleman, I watched him have to pull too many U-turns on deep balls at Auburn. I mean, those I literally cannot stress enough how there was a 40-yard limit on the quarterbacks making throws for Cam Coleman. You get Arch Manning out there who can throw it 65 yards. I think that's going to result in a lot more different plays.
After you answer, Cord, I have a question for both of y'all.
No, I'm in agreement. I think Joe's got it. I think he'll be again. You got to catch the football. Yeah. But you talk about the year that he had last year. Now think and imagine what it looks like if he catches 75% of the balls he dropped. There's a lot of space on a couple of these drops. He might not have ever stopped running. He might have been hanging out with Bevo down there. Like, I like it. And again, it's not to knock Cam Coleman. I just think that, especially, third downs, I think Emmett Mosley is going to be like our biggest chain mover. I think he's going to be the best third down receiver we have because of how much attention Coleman and Wingo will get. And I don't know, man. We're trying to find your other comment down here, Joe. Sorry, comments are everywhere now. Thanks for being here. I don't know. Just Ball says no one's scared of Wingo nor Coleman. Defend the scheme, not the player. I don't know, man. Texas hasn't had a guy like Cam Coleman to go up and win one-on-one balls in the red zone. The 50-50 balls. People are definitely a bit fearful of Ryan Wingo. I can guarantee you. You go 3 straight screenplays to the house and all in SEC play. I don't care if it's against two of the teams or bottom feeders. It's going to spark a little. Potentially could have been. It would have been big play versus Georgia had it not been for the slip. I don't know if he scores, but it would have been another big play. So, hey, I'm not just fully disagreeing with you here. I just think that there's a little bit of fear for Coleman and we go out there. Michelle, what was your question?
So I was going to ask if you think the speed of Wingo Coleman, is it faster than or maybe just right on par with how Bond and Golden were and then Worthy, AD Mitchell? I feel like we're kind of back to that, but I'm curious what y'all's take on it is.
Go ahead, Nash, if you want to. So
I'm not sure about Cam. I'm not trying to talk down on the guy. Yeah. I literally don't know if Cam Coleman has that speed. He could, I watched a lot of broadcast film, and I think he's really, really smooth. And I'm not saying he's slow at all, right? I'm not trying to go with that. Trying to say he's smooth to make up for speed or something like that.
Do you think it'll be like a Matthew Golden where we didn't really know he was that fast, and then he tested? And
I don't think people knew Matthew Golden was that fast when he was playing at Texas. I think he ran that 40-yard dash, and everybody was like,
What?
That's probably the fastest duo of all three, and that is crazy to say that because
AD Mitchell and the X were that's what I was about to say is when we're talking about comparing them to AD Mitchell X or Golden and Bond.
Closer to Golden.
Those are some really, really fast duos that I don't like. I don't even think if you go and get the top wide receivers, it's hard to get that many, fast duos that can produce at a high level. Those are some really, really special times to run at the 40-yard dash. So I'm not sure if it's that fast, but it ain't slow.
Right.
They could fly. Golden and Bond. Again, Bond didn't necessarily work out the way obviously we all thought and wanted, but Golden could fly, man. Like, and he was smooth, so you couldn't really tell at times how fast he was. Like X wasn't as smooth as Golden was in and out of routes at times. You could see the explosion, you could see the speed. There's such a quick first step. That's tough. That's a really fun question. What let us know in the comments what y'all. We're not talking about who's better, ding dong. Listen to the question. We're talking about if the speed.
They are all amazing.
And talking about the speed.
Yeah.
The speed. All right.
You know what's so funny about Xavier Worthy is we would get so frustrated because Quinn just couldn't get it far enough to him. Like he was too fast for Quinn is what we some people would say. But even in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes has a hard time getting the ball far enough for him. Like it's crazy how fast he is. Sometimes I'm like, he's too fast for his own good. He needs to learn to slow down.
Quinn did hit one.
Yep.
Versus Alabama.
Yep, the
not
one
a bad
that
one
mattered.
to hit. Not a bad one to hit.
Yeah, that moon ball, it was pretty. Yeah, we'll see week 2 who's scared of Ryan Wingo and Cam Coleman. We'll see how Ohio State chooses to play them. Again, they'll probably be as well equipped to defend Texas as anybody out there in the country since Georgia's not on the dang schedule. Yeah, Chris, get on that Just Ball guy. Get on him, man. Let him know it's blasphemy. Just Ball has revealed himself to me via text message, and now he wins today. He's funny for that. Sark was telling Kay Adams, hey, long story short, be more explosive. Really hard press not to believe this isn't going to be clearly his most explosive offense. You should have an offensive line that's a lot better than it was a year ago. You definitely going to have more explosiveness out of the backfield. You have 3 receivers that are going to be, in my opinion, 2.5 receivers that are very dependable, very trustworthy. I'm expecting Wingo to go over that next and make it a 3. Make it a full 3 receivers you trust. You have a phenom coming in Jermaine Bishop, who, in my opinion, as soon as he hits the field, is going to show and demand more, playing time. So, it should be his most explosive offense. I think he really won the offseason, and going out, you could tell that was kind of the mindset, the speed between Erlich Brown, Hollywood Smothers, Cam Coleman's ability to win 50-50 balls. He can go downfield and win plays down the field. So, I love it. I think again, it should be. We'll see after when they get on the field. I'm not going to be fooled again. I will say I had a little less confidence than everybody else last year, but I will not be fooled again. What do y'all think? Most explosive Texas offense under Sarkisian?
I mean, it's hard to get more explosive than that 2024 team was. Like, I'm looking at it right here, 20-yard plays. We were the only team in the nation above 100 with 108. 30-plus yard plays, we're 5th in the nation. 40-yard plays, we're 7th in the nation. I mean, we were a very, very explosive team. But 2025, I mean, it took a massive hit. I think that you can honestly see how important explosiveness is. In 2023, we were 11th in the nation in 20-plus yard plays. So, dropping down to 51st in the nation and last year in explosive plays, I think Steve Sarkisian clearly saw, hey, we have a problem there, and that's a massive issue that we need to get fixed because, I mean, as much as he does love to run the football, there's some explosiveness that comes from that, and we were not explosive at all running the football. And I think that, no disrespect to Wiseman or any of the guys that we had last year run the rock. We didn't have the athleticism to, when the play was blocked correctly, to get past that 20-plus yard mark. I mean, I'm looking at the 20-plus yard plays, and it wasn't good. We were 88th in the nation. We had 12 plays a year last year.
And probably half of those came against A&M and Oklahoma, maybe more.
Probably half of them.
Yeah.
Literally, I mean, you're probably not wrong. Looking at and then to put it in perspective, in 2024, we were 11th in the nation with 28. 2023, similar thing, 19th in the nation with 24. So that was a massive drop-off in just the running game alone. And I think that when you look at how important the running game has been to Steve Sarkisian, clearly that he saw that as a pressing issue, and that's why he went out there and got Erlich Brown and Hollywood Smothers, 2 of the top, not just top athletes, but top running backs in the portal.
Well, we were really missing Jadon Blue because he was such an explosive player. I think he's the one who scored against Ohio State in the semifinals, I believe, twice. Yeah. I mean, was the guy, the explosive guy when you needed it to happen. Like he could just make magic happen. And I know he struggled with some other things like fumbling, things like that, but like it was worth the risk because you could get such a great reward with him. And we didn't replace that last season. And so that's why Sark is like, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I have at least one Jadon Blue type of guy. And I'm honestly most excited about the running back room. I think, I'm really excited about Derek Cooper. I think he looks great. Obviously, the two transfer portal Hollywood Smothers for League Brown. I think they're both going to be really good. And then we've got Michael Terry. We've got Simon. Like there's a lot of guys in that running back room that we're not even talking about that I'm like, actually, they could be pretty good too. So I think, hopefully between the lot of them, we can find that replacement to get those explosive plays back.
I agree with you. And again, I think you'll see the experience early in the season between Brown and Smothers lead the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
And then, a chance for guys like Cooper, maybe even potentially
Mm-hmm.
even Michael Terry to come on later in the season
Right.
because you got a little bit more physicality there, potentially
Mm-hmm.
between those two guys, a little bit more
Right.
size. And so, hey, it would be great to be able to add them mid to late season into the fold against a lot of teams and defenses who are, they've hope, not wishing on injuries on anyone, obviously, but it is part of the game. And a lot of guys play through things, are banged up, they're tired. So it's a great thing to be able to add a little bit of juice there in that running back room. Trying to find your comment, Just Ball, where to go up there. But no, you said that's the big difference. If we're not talking purely speed, it is Worthy and AD clearly is the best 1-2, wide receiver tandem Texas has had. If you're talking a full-on ability as a wideout right there. But and Michelle, you got a lot of people wanting to know whose tail is behind you.
That's my cat, Luna.
There you go.
She turned 9 the other day. So when I graduated from Texas, I lived in Minneapolis for a couple years. And so I was there all by myself because my family was in Texas. So I adopted her from a shelter so that I wouldn't be so lonely up there. So
Love it.
She's
Well, happy birthday, Luna.
There you go. Love it. Good for you. Good for Luna. Real quick, guys, we're going to take our second ad break of the night, and we'll get back to the last part of this show. Let's hear from Andre, the lawyer. Big shout out and thanks to Dre.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results. Andre, the lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
All right. Keeping it going here, guys. Appreciate all the comments, having some fun with them. But yeah, I mean, like the whole point of the show was kind of talking about the pressure, right? The heat that Texas could potentially be feeling. But no, it plays into it because when you talk about the explosiveness that Texas has added, you talk about, hey, we got to help Arch out a little bit in pass protection. You got to help Arch out as far as the run game goes. Take a little bit of pressure off him. Take a little pressure off Steve Sarkisian as a play caller. Damn hard to call plays. Really damn hard to call plays if you do not have a run game. Even if you have a very good quarterback, even if you have a trio or quartet of great receivers, it is tough to not be able to run the football. Eventually, it is going to bring you down. And so it's tough on a play caller. It's tough on the quarterback. And so, hey, they went out and they improved on the offensive line. They should. You have the running back improvement. You have Derek Cooper coming in. You have the ability of Arch Manning to run the football. And then obviously you add Cam Coleman. You have Jermaine Bishop coming in. It should all alleviate if there is pressure that they feel. It should help out. It should help Arch to know I don't have to be perfect on this play call. I just need to put the ball up there where Cam Coleman can high point it. Throw it back on his outside shoulder, his back shoulder, throw it away from the defender, and let Cam be an athlete. Let him go up and make a play on it. So, we'll see. I don't know what you're talking about, Chris. Update me on what you're talking about. Single coverage, no quarterback. This little run of comments. Let me know what you're referencing, and we'll address that for sure. But no, I agree. Should be the most explosive offense again. Bama. I don't know if we're going to have 2020 Bama numbers. Pretty weird year. Obviously, to be around in general on Earth. College football was really weird that year as well. You have some teams playing college football games, having played 5 or 6 games. You have some that Alabama's offense, nonetheless, was really, really dang good. Is there any pressure on the other side of the ball, though? Does Sark going to feel any pressure like, hey, Muschamp in this unit, does Muschamp feel pressure? Because, I mean, that's a pretty dramatic change that Texas made at coordinator, going from PK, who did good things at that university, to Will Muschamp, who's done good things at that university as well. So, hey, is there any pressure on that side of the ball? Because there's so much expectations for this offense. There's been a lot of improvements for this offense. Is there a chance they're feeling the thought, or they're having the thought of like, hey, we can't be the guys to let this program down right now because they've got it cooking on the other side of the ball?
And this is just kind of my opinion on it. I feel like Muschamp, he's a made man. He knows he probably doesn't want to ever be a head coach again. So for him, he's just like, I just do what I love at a place that was so special to me. So I feel like he wouldn't necessarily be feeling the pressure. And, he, of course, wants to do a great job. But I don't necessarily think he would view it as pressure. I feel like he was born to be a defensive coach, and like he's doing what he was meant to do. And so I feel like he's not directly feeling the pressure. I think the defensive pressure is kind of on Sark because he's the one who made the ballsy move to fire PK. So if it doesn't work out on defense, no one's going to be blaming Muschamp. They're going to say, why, Sark, did you fire a defensive coordinator that was doing well? So I just feel like that really shields any sort of finger pointing at the defense and at Muschamp. I think it would just all go directly to Sark for making that move. And I think that's also why I feel really excited for how Sark has been moving this offseason, because in order to reach the top of the mountain, you have to be willing to do those types of gutsy moves. And I feel like he finally was just like, again, high risk, high reward. I have to do this. Like, that's the only way. And so I'm very optimistic that it's going to work out. I think Muschamp has the pedigree, the experience, has the scheme to really shine and do well, even though it is, a huge change. But that's why I just feel like all the defensive pressure still kind of just gets put on Sark. And I also think that's why everybody, when you talk about the pressure of the team, talks about the offense so much, because at the end of the day, it is on him. So that's how I feel about it.
I like that take. It makes a lot of sense again because Sark's someone who made a decision. So does it come down to the defense? I mean, again, I like the change in styles. I think it's going to be very important. Chris, year 6, Mac. Now, let me tell you the big difference, in my opinion, just on the two situations. Mac had a young Vince Young, a freshman Vince Young that lost that Holiday Bowl game. I'm not putting it on Vince Young, but that's the guy he had. This could potentially, not guaranteed, this could potentially be the last season, with Sark and Arch at Texas. And so are people going to be less patient? Are they going to say, okay, well, because, people were really impatient with Mac. The losing to Oklahoma was not well received, and understandably so. Now, Sark has beat Oklahoma. Sark has beat Texas A&M. Sark has won a conference championship. He's made a couple of college football playoff semifinals. I don't think he's in any trouble, like genuinely in any trouble. Of course, media is going to media. But, yeah, we'll see what year 6 holds. Any thoughts just on any comparison between Mac and Sark and just kind of, how their timelines have correlated with one another? Because it's not exactly the same. You didn't have Mac, with a 5-win season. But
no, it's different worlds, because I think that Mac Brown, it's really kind of funny because I think Mac Brown his tenure at Texas was more suited for the college football playoff era, and
right.
Steve Sarkisian's era at Texas was more suited for the no playoff. We're just going to let the BCS decide the top 2, and those will be your national champions. Because back then, if you lost just one game, right, and the BCS puts you out like in 2008, it's not your fault. It's the computer models just shot us out of there. But I feel like Mac Brown's teams would have won some national championships if there was a top 4 or top 6 teams that get into the playoff back in the 2000s. But he wasn't beating his rivals like Steve Sarkisian is. I mean, Steve Sarkisian's beating Oklahoma almost yearly now. I mean, really the only 2 years that he's lost to Oklahoma, it's on some really crazy plays at the end, right? So I think they're kind of almost reversed a little bit, but yeah. To also go back to the Muschamp question, I really think that was a really good answer from Michelle. Like, it does feel like he's a made man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a CEO of a place like Texas, for lack of better words, shit flows upstream. So
Yeah.
if things go bad, it's not going to be Muschamp answering. Getting heat. It's going to be Steve Sarkisian, especially given that he made the move from PK. Yeah.
Well, you're right, man. I mean, again, I agree with both of you. Michelle had a great answer in regard to that question. But yeah, I mean, the one thing that you said, man, like Sark has beat his rivals, Mac Brown did not. Now, I say that tongue in cheek because at the same time that Mac Brown was winless against Oklahoma, he was unbeaten against A&M. But this is an A&M program at the time that was a lot different than the A&M program now. Definitely the way it's viewed from like a national perspective, and definitely the type of players that they're recruiting, and then obviously like just the overall brand. I think it's improved itself, with the move to the SEC and everything. But Mac was they weren't losing to Oklahoma; they were getting shellacked, 63-14 in 2000. You have a lead at halftime. You're up 14-3 in the game in 2000. No, sorry. You lose 14-3 in 2001. You have a 14-3 lead in the game in 2002, and proceed to get outscored 32-10 in the last 2.5 quarters. You lose 35-24. That's when I swear Quentin Griffith played for Oklahoma for like 15 years and scored 5 touchdowns every Saturday of my childhood. It was insane. But anyways, then you go to 2003, and it was a really good Oklahoma team. But there's no Oklahoma team that should ever walk into the Cotton Bowl and beat Texas 65-13. I do not care. That should never ever happen. It did make me feel better when the same Oklahoma team welcomed A&M up in Norman later in November and beat them 77-0. Could have scored 110 if they wanted to. They didn't score in the fourth quarter. Did make me feel a little bit better. But that was something that was like borderline unforgivable. And then you get shut out in 2004. You don't even score with Vince Young on your roster. You get beat 12-0. Like, that felt borderline unforgivable. If that 2005 team somehow, some way would have lost to Oklahoma, who, again, a lot of roster turnover. That was going to be a year that Oklahoma they didn't have near the quarterback play that they had. Peterson was banged up. If that somehow, Mac might have not been on the plane ride home or the bus ride home, like legitimately, if they somehow would have lost that game. I think Sark has a lot more leeway than that. He's done a good job beating his rivals. But it's weird because everybody said Mac can't win the big one. And what are we hearing about Sark? Sark can't win the big one. Sark's beating his rivals. He's beating A&M. But people are always going to move the needle. They're going to change what is a big one. That is a huge one for Texas every single year with Oklahoma. They would say the exact same. That game means something. It means more than most. But yeah. Did he start 2-0? Yeah, he did. They were down 18-0 in 1998, and they rallied. They won 38-28. And then Bob Stoops' first year, or was that 99, Chris? Stoops' first year was when Mac and Texas rallied from 18 down and won by 10. But I thought Mac was only 1-0 before that run. But you're probably right, man. Yeah, great point. You lose to Mangino in Kansas in 2004. You don't end up making a Rose Bowl. It would have been crazy to see a 10-win Texas team fire their head coach. Yeah. But when you don't score against Oklahoma and potentially have a season-melting loss to Kansas, talk about teams that could potentially have won the national championship. I don't know if 2003 Texas or 2004 Texas goes and beats USC. But there's a potential we would have back-to-back Texas versus USC national championships with Vince Young, Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, Lindell White, et cetera, all those guys involved. Cedric Benson would have been able to play in the first one if there was a 14 playoff, like Nash was kind of talking about right there. But
it's a good thing Twitter was not popular back when Matt Brown was head coach. I'm just going to say that because I feel like, and honestly, a lot of our conversation today about pressure, it's just a bunch of dudes on their couch tweeting about Texas football, right?
Leave me alone. Why do you? I don't understand the personal attack.
Like,
I'm kidding.
me
I'm kidding.
too. We're a bunch of couch coordinators, right? And that's all we are. I feel like a lot of these questions wouldn't even exist if there weren't just a bunch of trolls on the internet.
Whole different world without social media, and you being able in a whole different world. I like this comment.
The disrespect we have to MySpace right now.
Oh, what a world, man! You'd be in my top 8, guys.
You know, I have a comment on Mac Brown. I feel like I used to really underappreciate him, and like when we were going into the Charlie Strong era, I was like, I'm so over. I'm ready for the next phase. And then now, all these years later, it's just like, wow, it's really freaking hard to be a successful coach at Texas. And then you look at what he did at UNC. And that to me is my biggest indicator that, like, yeah, Mac knew what he was doing. It's just there's so much that goes with it. Because, I mean, Drake May is going to end up being his most successful quarterback in the NFL. I mean, who knew he'd ever have a quarterback that could go on to have a better pro career than, Vince Young? There were a lot of personal reasons why Vince's NFL career ultimately didn't, reach the apex we thought it would. But it's like, even in the late, just, I don't even care, I'm just dancing to the locker room stage of Mac Brown, he still was able to recruit and help develop high-level quarterback, get a number 2 draft pick out of him. His team, they didn't do that well, but I mean, look at UNC now with Bill Belichick, who's regarded as one of the greatest coaches ever, from the NFL. And I mean, they could barely win 2 games last year. So to me, I'm like, man, Mac Brown, his career, I kind of always viewed it as maybe a little bit underachieving, but like now that I'm so far removed from it, I'm like, he was a really good coach. Like, he didn't need to be calling the plays and everything to be really good at building a team, getting the right pieces together. And I think it's aged really well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, man. It definitely is. I'm not going to say that we underachieved when he was there. It's hard not to say that. But no, he was such a good, just like driver of the ship. You know what I mean? Like, he maybe from an X's and O's standpoint, like, he isn't as highly regarded as some of the other, elite coaches from the same era that he was involved in. But man, he's a player's coach. Everybody loved him. Families loved him. Obviously, he knew how to recruit the parents. I was just on here joking the other day about how I recruit flag football, by going through the moms. We go to the moms first. We win the moms over, and so we got a big one tomorrow night. Got a kid coming to a practice, and we're gonna have to impress him. First practice of summer league, and so
get the fancy juice boxes.
root for us, but no. And so I got a lot of love and respect. Again, I love the quote that Mac had earlier. Really, I'm definitely not lying to you, Nash. I mean,
I know from conversations we've had. I'm like, this is hilarious because I'm telling y'all right now, that is exactly Cord's strategy.
I thought it was I thought it was a bit on your Twitter when you were like, this was months ago. You're like grinding the film for flag football. I'm like, haha, and then like it kept happening. I'm like, oh no, he's really like grinding the tape.
That championship loss last year, I can tell you right now, did something to Cord deep.
Oh yeah,
he lost the championship, and there might have been some words said by the other team, and that drove the man to go and get his team onto a natty circuit right this.
Turned him into the Joker.
But yeah, Mac was an excellent CEO.
We'll just be honest about it. We caught some audio of some comments about a group of 5 and 6 year old boys, and we took it pretty personally. You know what I mean? So we're out there, and everybody's having fun, and they're battling and they're competing. But then and another coach takes it pretty personal. The whole thing makes it about himself instead of the kids. And you hear a few of the comments that he made during that said championship game. You're like, okay, all right, cool. Let's see. Let's run it back. And so luckily for us, we got the opportunity to play the same exact team here in the spring, just the spring championship, which was like 2 weeks ago. And you throw up a big goose egg. It was good to see. So no, it is funny. We do have an incredible group of parents, and a lot of them watch this show. So if y'all are watching, yes, like we definitely recruited you, and we're strategic about how we did so because we love your kids and we want y'all to be involved. But no, I gotta touch on that comment real quick. Artistically, like I do, it's a different era for coaches as well. Mac didn't have. If Mac would have had the transfer portal and the NIL and the money that was spent on his rosters, and then he went 0-5 versus Oklahoma in a span from 2000 to 2004, he would not have a job. I can guarantee you. I don't care if you're winning 9 or 10 games every year. You would not have a job when you're losing games by 49, 52, et cetera, getting blanked by it would not happen. And so it's a whole different era for coaches, probably the most difficult time ever to be a coach. Mm-hmm. I chickened out. I mean, again, it was only at the high school level. I have all the respect and just appreciation for coaches that have stuck with it. They've gone through, obviously talking about the college level now, but they're able to just keep their love, for the game, keep their love for their profession, because it's so much more difficult now. You're re-recruiting your roster essentially. Some teams probably could be every week. You know what I mean?
I've seen a few players in high school being ruled ineligible, and apparently there's like a whole people are transferring high schools. I'm like, oh my God, there's a transfer portal in high school too. What's going on? It seems like it's crazy there as well. So
the UIL has entered the chat.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's a crazy world in high school sports too. I don't think that I'll get in any trouble for talking about this, and so I'm going to talk about it. But like, Art Briles gets hired at Mount Vernon High School in East Texas, up there, just southwest of Mount Pleasant, and coached against my brother, same district for a couple of years. And so for me, and the anti-Baylorism that I had, and it's not, again, I grew up going to Baylor games before Texas because of where I was located. But the things that went on there, I grew to have a pretty big disdain for the university. And so I'm ramped up. I'm like, hey, let's go. I can't wait to see you win. I need to see you beat him, yada, yada. And going into the first season, it was like, oh, y'all should definitely beat them. You played them. We know who's on their roster, this and that. Mm-hmm. And then the first time my brother sees their film, he was like, holy shit, this is not the kids that we had. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that first year, still my brother's school wins, dramatic, last second field goal. We still don't know if it was good or not. It was right over the top of the goalpost, depending on who you ask. Might be a little bit more inside, a little bit more outside. They called it good. They said he made it. My brother's school wins by a point, yada, yada. Go to the next year, and it's right before they're about to play. And it's several of the same studs from the year before. Okay, this is Briles' second year at Mount Vernon. And my brother tells me a bunch of kids have been ruled ineligible. I'm like, okay, what happened? This and that. It's been a year and a half, since Briles got there. Mm-hmm. Well, they have twins on their team that were really good. And Briles had got them somehow to come from Colorado to Mount Vernon, Texas, to play Texas high school football under the guise that the dad was a ran a production company, and they were going to do a whole story on Texas high school football and what it's like to go through the grind of a season and this and that, except for there was never any cameras. They never had a camera on the side. So it was really, really if
you're going to fake that, man, you gotta do at least a little bit better job.
A lot
at least half-ass it, man.
So again,
oh my gosh,
I don't have
crazy.
I don't have any. I don't feel bad at all sharing that story. I know that there was another young man that was also ruled ineligible that came down from Kansas. So recruiting, not just in state, but I guess using the connections that he has.
That is nuts.
It's nuts. And again, it's crazy out there. There's things that go on in Texas, or all high school football, all over the country, college football. A lot of people don't know about. It is what it is. But I had to share that. I didn't think it would be. I don't think it's a big deal to tell that story. But real quick, Nash, I want to hear about your Omaha experience, man. Give us a quick rundown for the people that have never been to Omaha, Nebraska. Like, what's it like as far as just from a college baseball fan? Obviously, we know it didn't go the way we all wanted, for Texas. But, talk about the Burn Orange faithful and just a trip, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just start off and say, if anybody's disappointed with how that ended, you honestly probably need to go watch a different sport. Like, it's just when you making it to Omaha should always be the goal. When you get to Omaha, crazy things happen.
Yep.
There's no better case in point than Oklahoma, who was 14-16 in the SEC, tied for 11th place, going out there and they're playing a national championship, beating Georgia twice, who was the number 1 team in the SEC and then won the SEC tournament. Crazy things happen in Omaha. Omaha's just a different place, and you just got to get hot at the right time. Now, Texas looked like they were hot at the right time going into the tournament, but things happen. Crap happens. It was an amazing experience. I still, even with going 1 and 2 in the tournament, if you had told me 20 years ago, hey, you're going to be on the field of the College World Series, I would never believed you. Right? That's still an experience that I will never forget. I thank you for Inside Texas for sending me out there to take photos for them. But it was an amazing place, amazing atmosphere. Absolutely cannot wait to go back. That was it's a really special town. And I mean the players they battled their tail ends off. I mean, I know the hitting didn't go how we wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to watch Adrian Rodriguez, who still dealing with some sort of injury himself, can't really disclose too much on that.
Mm-hmm.
He goes out there and he hits the 3rd cycle in College World Series history. That right there, that was something really, really special to see in person. And I feel so terrible for Luke Harrison, who goes out there and throws the best game of his career. And this is the perfect example of how baseball is, right? Trolls are going to be in the chat and they're going to say things about how it ended and all that stuff, and that's all they are. They're trolls. Luke Harrison went out there and gave Texas the best performance. I've been telling people, if you were to go out there and list in order, how scenarios could have gone from best to worst.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Harrison gave you a top 3, top 5 best case scenario. He only gave up 1 run to Georgia. Honestly, if there's no collision between Adrian Rodriguez and Anthony Pack, and this is kind of how I felt it was going when we had 22 batters face, 15 Ks for both teams. I was like, man, this is headed for a 1-0 game, right? This is how this game's being played.
Right.
And that's honestly, if there's no collision, that's honestly probably how the game does end. Sam Cozart went out there, absolutely shoved after Luke Harrison shoved, and our bats just could not get the job done when we had runners in scoring position. And that's kind of how baseball goes sometimes. Also, Cord, I don't know if you can pull it up now, but maybe if y'all saw the photo, I DM'd it to you a second ago, but if y'all saw the photo of Coach Skip Johnson, who was a former coach at Texas. So, I mean, honestly, a little bit of me is going to be rooting for Oklahoma and Skip to go out there and get the job done. I know Cord really has a special connection with Skip, but there was a photo of the SEC coaches, and all of them are dressed up in really nice clothes. And here's Skip Johnson, looks like he just got off the damn fishing boat. Part of me was like, watch Skip be the one to be the last one standing. And lo and behold, he is, and he might be winning the national championship trophy. He's such a cool dude. He's out there at that ice cream place right outside the Blatt, right?
Yeah.
Just the best way to describe Skip Johnson is Skip's just a dude. He's a guy that you could go to the bar with, you just hang out with for, not just a couple hours, but you could go on a long trip with him, and you'd be like, yeah, that's one of my bros, right? So, it is cool to see Skip Johnson, doing well. Got his team back in the national championship conversation, and best of luck to Oklahoma. I know it sounds crazy for me to say, but
I can't do it.
yeah, I would argue, Michelle, before you start hating me.
I don't hate you. I get it.
I would argue that Texas versus Oklahoma is much different. I will never root for Oklahoma. But baseball, it's a little bit different, especially with Skip Johnson having been such a great pitching coach for Texas. But, yeah, I mean, Omaha is just a really weird place. And at the end of the day, Texas finished tied for 5th in the nation out of 308 teams. So, really, really special season. Hats off to all the boys that, went out there and got the job done. And cannot wait for next year.
I feel really positive about the season, and I've noticed that's not necessarily how maybe other fans are. Maybe it's
They're all
because,
Twitter. They're all on Twitter,
yeah,
and they're not donating money. So at the end of the day,
right. And it might be, I wasn't really a diehard Texas baseball fan growing up. I really didn't even start watching it that much until much later. So maybe it's because I'm just a little bit more removed from it. But I mean, I felt like what you want to see, especially when you have a new coach, you want to see progress, And I mean, this was huge progress. Last year, we didn't even make it to Omaha. This year, we did, and we won the first game we have there since I think it was 2021. I mean, that's huge progress. Like, you don't just win the national championship overnight. It really is a stepping stone. And I get that a lot of these players who we've grown to love and that were seniors, they'll be gone, and so it will be a new team. But I've always been of the belief that, like, each player, even when they're no longer there, is part of building the foundation that goes. Like, for Vince Young winning it in 2005, I always feel like the things that he learned from the Chris Sims era and Chance Mock, like, those players were part of that foundation. Even though they were no longer there and didn't play in the game, they were stepping stones for getting to where we ultimately wanted to. And that's kind of how I feel about these seniors and this team. Like, maybe they won't be the ones that are there if we hopefully, get a national championship within the next few years, but they were part of getting us back, getting us that first win in Omaha. I mean, to me, like, I view it as a success. And I think you have to view it through that lens, because like you were saying, who would have been thinking Oklahoma was even going to win one game, like, let alone make the World Series? So you just never know what happens in the postseason. And I think I'm really pumped for the progress. We've got to do some reloading in the transfer portal, trying to lock in. But I'm excited for the future. I think that is the most important takeaway I had from the season. And it seems like Coach Losh has done a great job. I totally just mispronounced his name, but let me keep going. It seems like he's done a great job, like, building the culture of the team. All of the families seem so close. All of the players, you could tell they just poured their heart out. I mean, I was crying watching them crying. Like, I don't even like to think about it, because they put their whole life on hold just chasing this dream, and then it's just over.
Yeah, I mean,
just move on.
That's sports
that was.
for you. Go ahead, Nash.
I was gonna say that was the worst part. I was okay with the loss, and I mean, it was, even if we had won, this it still would have ended up happening. But the worst part is, the moment when you realize, okay, I'm rarely going to see some of these people again, these parents and these families. It's one of the most cliche things to say about, there's such great families in the group, but this Texas baseball team really did have a close nucleus. It was a really, really tight group of families, and they were. I honestly, I can't really think of a single one that was, a negative influence on the team. These were all outstanding people who raised great sons.
Absolutely, man. And they're fun to follow. Again, it's tough to realize, a few of them, you're not going to see them in burnt orange again. That's pretty, it's tough. And you go through it, again, you follow every sport, and you're like, oh, it's not just the baseball guys, the softball girls we just watched. There are some Texas golfers that I'm like, all right, this sucks. Feel like we came short these last few years. I thought we definitely had a title in our future. And clearly, basketball, football, the same thing. It's definitely the hardest part. Of fandom and stuff like that. It's not like it's a pro team where, the guys can hang out and potentially spend their entire career there. It goes fast. You know what I mean? When some of these guys are, they're transfer guys, so you only have them for a year. It still feel weird how connected I was to Adonai Mitchell, just the one season he was there, as far as like how much I appreciated what he did. But no, it definitely is a successful year from my stance. I think that if Texas goes on the other side of that bracket and goes 1-2, I would have said, hey, maybe that's a little bit of a disappointing trip to Omaha. Georgia and Oklahoma were the two hottest damn teams in the country coming in. Texas was playing good baseball. Don't get me wrong. Those those guys were on fire, both sides. Georgia had won 20-21 coming in College World Series. Oklahoma had gone and taken down the ACC champion, the Big 12 champion on the road. I thought Georgia Tech honestly was the best team in the country for most of the season. Oklahoma rallied down 8-2 against them in one game and just never looked back in that series. I do follow Oklahoma baseball pretty closely, clearly, because we cover the conference. But also, yeah, I do love Skip. It sucks that I am rooting for Oklahoma, like saying it with my chest. It is a really, really weird thing to do. But then he threw another curveball at me, and he added a guy named Cord Rager, the stud pitcher that they had, the freshman. That's not fair.
Really good pitcher. Really good guy.
He really is like, I need to make sure that Cord roots for me.
And I'm not going to tell you the emoji that I got back when I told him that I was rooting for him, because I feel like that would be wrong. But I got a pretty funny emoji. I'm just going to say that.
Hey, I have one more comment just about baseball and how basketball has been so close, baseball's been so close, football's been so close, softball. They were so close for years. I mean, they were in the title game and they just could not get past Oklahoma. I think it was like 2 or 3 times that they lost in the World Series, and now they've gone back to back. It's like knocking down the door is the hardest part. It's so hard. And so I just hope that they can regroup and rally and not let this, feel the emotions, process it, grieve. I mean, it's kind of like grieving, like, whoa, that would be such a shock. Just with how fast sports in general ends, like I know that the basketball team, especially on the women's side, for the men, it was more like, yay, we made it to the Sweet 16. It was a celebration. But for the women, it was like, oh my gosh, this was our year. You have to give yourself time to process it. But I hope they're able to move on and just see, like, we just have to keep knocking, because eventually you're going to knock the door down. And so that's just kind of my hope for them, because we've seen it happen. And, I'm hopeful.
I mean, that's the crappy part. I mean, they lose in the game versus Georgia, and then the next day there's a bunch of name tags ripped off the lockers.
Yep.
Like that's sports. And like Horde said, like, this isn't professional sports where you can sign a guy to stay for a really long time. And it's just, this is college athletics, and it's the crappy part of it. But at the same time,
it's that way
you get to know more guys, right? There's a whole group of guys that we don't even know yet that are going to be some really good Longhorns, and that's going to be the fun part, getting to know them. But we're going to have to go through the same thing again.
Yep.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, and again, it's the same way whether you win or lose. You know what I mean? Win, and a lot of people are like, talk to a lot of athletes throughout, my life. I competed at a lot of level of the people that I talked to. But a lot of times when people in teams, they win something, like the feeling is great, but I've heard the common sentiment of, like, it doesn't match what they expected. They built something up as like this life altering, just life changing event. But hey, life goes on the next day. You know what I mean?
Now what?
The way we started kind of this show is going to be the kind of how we're going to finish it, with another Mac Brown quote. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But his team won that title, and he turned around and said, "I don't want this to be the greatest day of your lives." And that is definitely something for me, that when I was a young man, I was like, whatever, dude, this is the best day of my life. And I'm not even in the freaking locker room. I can already promise you. And I was like, you're a fool. You don't know anything, Mac. But no, so it's been a lot of fun. It did go long, Joshy. We had to wait till you left the show for a little while so we could start talking and having a free flowing conversation in here. But no, we'll do this on the next show. Quinn, come back on, Quinn, Christ, artistically incredible. Come back on Wednesday when we'll have these two back, or Wednesday or Thursday. But we'll touch on this question either way, man. We can have a whole dang show about that. To be honest, it could be its own topic. But I really appreciate you guys, all y'all in here. Joshy, you goofball, artistically, Chris, everybody was in here, Just Balls, all of y'all in here, man. Thank you for coming in and helping. It did go a little bit long, but I think y'all are cool with that. We're okay with that. We had a lot that we talked about and covered. But yeah, come over to InsideTexas.com. Check out all the fun stuff. Yeah, it's not just football recruiting. You can go find out the big time transfer softball recruit that just coming to the 40 acres. Ms. Torres is going to be a fantastic addition. But go read up all on her and everything else happening with all this official visit season. hopefully it's commitment season in the morning. John Meredith will make his big time decision. That's a 2-team race, Texas and Texas A&M. Hoping for good news for the good guys. Appreciate you guys watching Inside Texas. Thank you, Nash. Thank you, Michelle. We'll see y'all next time.